what does the first 90 days look like at a good agency? And maybe also, what does it look like at a bad agency?
The smoother the onboarding has gone, and it felt really dialed. Generally, that turned out to be a great relationship over a long period of time. And then obviously on the opposite side, if things kind of feel hectic and you're coming in and it's a bit disheveled, then that might be a red flag right away.
Honest Ecommerce is a weekly podcast where we interview direct-to-consumer brand founders and leaders to find out what it takes to start, grow, and scale an online business today. Honest Ecommerce is proudly produced by Electric Eye, a Shopify Plus partner helping e-commerce brands sell more with strategic design and development. Visit electriceye.io for more information. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Honest Ecommerce. Today, I'm welcoming to the show Matt Raminick. He is joining us from Sunnyside. Matt, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you, Chase.
I'm excited to chat. We've been partners now for going on maybe 6 months or so. And we thought about what would be a good reason to chat on the show and how we could give value to folks. But before we get into that, quickly, give me the crash course in your backstory. How did you end up running an agency?
Yeah, sure. So thanks again for having me. I'm stoked to chat with you guys today. I spent about 2 decades on the brand side in e-com, in marketing, in action sports and retail and the music industry. I had senior roles in e-commerce in both marketing or e-commerce and marketing. I was in, like I said, working in music for a while, and then I found my way into action sports and outdoors. So I was at Quiksilver for a long time, and Volcom and Pacsun. So I managed teams there at each of those, and was responsible for hiring and firing a lot of agencies over that time. What I kept running into though was just this sort of consistent gap, I think, and we noticed that a lot of the agencies we work with are kind of optimizing for metrics that look great on paper, but weren't really focused on the actual business outcomes in many cases. And so that was something that really stuck with me, I think, over time. And some got it right, more right than others. And so when I left the corporate world, eventually, I really didn't look for another brand to go work at. I just sort of built an agency instead without a playbook and having ever worked at one. And but really had a solid idea of sort of what I wanted to do and some of the problems that we wanted to solve for. So I had all those years of experience knowing what worked and what didn't, and just set out to build something different.
Absolutely. Yeah. And again, that agency is Sunnyside. They got a great website over at sunnysidecalifornia.com. We had a big laugh about that at the beginning of the show, but we had to redo things, and anyone that knows me can figure out why. But let's dive in a bit here. What you wanted to bring to the table today, which I thought was super interesting, was basically what every young brand or every brand going through a change really wants to know how to do the right way, and especially the first time, which is how to buy growth without dealing with people selling you stuff they actually can't do, without getting got. You know what I mean? Basically, how do I actually find an agency partner, be it an agency, a freelancer, a contractor, whatever you want to whatever you want to call it. We're just going to talk about what you should be looking for. And by we, I mean Matt is going to help us identify what you should be looking for, what you should be hesitant of when you're kind of looking to hire someone to help you grow sales, essentially. So when we say growth, I think we're talking about increasing sales. So selling more of the product, getting more qualified buyers to the website, getting new buyers to the website, getting repeat buyers to the website. Matt, is all of that what you're here to handle and talk about?
Yeah, exactly. So it's just more about like, how do you find the best partner for the brand, right? And how do you sort of it's like a marriage, right? Like you're going into this thing and that you hope would last for a number of years, and it costs a lot of money. And I've seen it go wrong and I've seen it go right. And so that's one of the things I love talking about, because especially if it's a younger brand or founder who's not had tons of experience really procuring agencies and trying to find the right partner, it can be daunting, right? And the process can be a bit overwhelming. So yeah, I'm happy to help however I can with that.
Absolutely. I think the easiest place to start will be, you can start, and then I'll probably have some extras, which is, if you're talking to a partner and they say these things or make these actions, like what are the major red flags that you should be spotting at the beginning of a relationship that you should say, thank you so much for your time, but we're going to go in a different direction?
That's a good question. Yeah. So I think it starts with the pitch process, right? Like I always sort of subscribe to the idea that the sale is a sample of the engagement, right? Blarian said that in his book, and that really stuck with me. So as you're going through it and you're getting to know these people and you're talking about your desired outcomes and like really what you're trying to achieve, that whole process should be really a sampling of what it's going to be like to work together, right? And so when you're getting pitched and you're seeing all these great numbers and case studies and all that kind of stuff, that's great. But it's more about really talking about and really going deep on what it is you're trying to achieve. Like, what is it in a few years' time that you really want to look back and go, yeah, we did it. We high five over it, and let's celebrate. And then the agency partner or the freelancer, or whoever it is that you're talking to, should come with some tangible ideas of exactly how they're going to do that.
Absolutely. I think that being on the same page about what success looks like starts before any money exchanges hands. And you have to be like, we're big boys, we're talking business, and this all resolves around money. And if you can't have a conversation around money and margins and what you actually want your goal to be, maybe you aren't ready to hire someone to help you with this, because it really does, like, we need to know exactly how much money you're making and exactly how much money you want to make to draw the bridge between those two metrics, and then bring it and then step it all back. And I know you guys get super deep, not to, or spoiler alert here, he's got a really cool system called Profit 360, if I can remember without looking at my page. But long story short, when you're talking with people that are going to help you make more money, if they're not asking you how much money you're making now and what your margins are or your conversion, like if you're asking someone to help you with an e-commerce store, that's the world that me and Matt both play in, and they're not asking for access to your backend to look at your analytics, like that's a major red flag, right? If they're not asking you what, okay, Matt, you really like what we're selling over here at Electric Eye, like in 1 year, what looks like success to you and you made the best choice with working with us? What are some of those tangible or non-tangible things, right? And some of them are like, oh, our conversion rate's gone up by 20%. Or it's like, hey, you've helped me delegate the CRO roadmap completely off of my plate so I can focus on new product development, because I've been so in the weeds doing this. I need to build our next winning product, right? So if they're not asking you stuff like that and they're just saying, yeah, we're going to charge 20% of ad spend, we'll get started tomorrow. Yeah.
Yeah, that last point is so crucial. And one of the things that myself and the team talk about a lot is when we move into a new engagement with a brand and we figure out kind of, who's our key stakeholder, who are the folks that we're going to be working with day to day, it's our personal goal to get that person promoted. It's like, how can we like really sink into what this person's goals are as an individual and then really help them achieve that, in addition obviously to some of the business objectives and stuff like that. But yeah, like when we can sort of meaningfully take stuff off someone's plate and help them get back more time to focus on the things that they need to do in order to be effective in their role, then that's a huge win. And I think that you're not going to find that many places. A lot you will, but I think it really comes down to the individual. And so for us as an agency, we've talked a lot about that and found that it has really helped us generate a lot more retention out of a particular client. And as a result, we see that our typical lifespan of a client engagement is 3 to 5 years at least, and some it's longer than that. So, and a lot of it has to do with that really sort of personalized, almost hospitality approach of how we're working with somebody.
Do you know what's going on with Klaviyo? When is the last time you explored what it can do? Klaviyo has been shipping tons of new AI, data, and automation features designed to help e-commerce teams move faster, personalize better, and automate more of the work that used to take entire teams. Most brands are only using a fraction of what is already inside their Klaviyo account. Klaviyo is not just email and SMS anymore. It is your customer data platform, your lifecycle marketing engine, your analytics layer, and now your AI-assisted execution layer all in one place. That means your customer data updates in real time. Your segments stay current automatically. Your flows and campaigns all run off the same source of truth. And now AI can help predict churn risk, forecast spend, recommend next best products, generate campaign content, and optimize send timing across channels. The big unlock is speed and efficiency. There are fewer tools to manage, less dependency on engineering, less time moving data between systems, and a lower total cost of ownership across your marketing stack. And brands are seeing real results from leaning further into Klaviyo. Dollar Shave Club has reported over 30% reduction in total CRM stack costs after consolidating onto Klaviyo. Brands like Third Love have seen a 15x ROI from SMS after consolidating channels, and companies like Quiksilver have grown flow revenue over 90% after bringing email and SMS together inside Klaviyo. Across our customer base, almost every single brand we work with today is using Klaviyo. That is just where serious e-commerce customer data and lifecycle infrastructures are living these days. If you're already on Klaviyo, but you feel like you're not getting everything you can out of it, or you're just running multiple tools and want to simplify without losing power, I think this is worth your time. You should head on over to klaviyo.com/honest to learn more. That's klaviyo.com/honest to learn more about what Klaviyo can do for you today. Another thing you mentioned earlier that I want to bring up was in this process, when you're evaluating folks, you're looking at case studies. And this is something that I really harp on people, because we talk to brands that are really, they just gotten funding, or they had a great Q4 and they're looking to reinvest, and they're always swapping teams and this, that, and the other. And they're always looking, when they're looking to buy growth, one of my major things is they need to meet you where you are, and they need to have a case study that proves they've done exactly what you want before. Right. And what I mean by that is, if you're, a direct consumer brand, you're selling apparel, right? And you're talking to an agency and you think they're great, but all of their case studies are about lead gen. There's a massive disconnect there between the outcomes of those engagements. So one, it's make sure that they can show you a case study of basically a competitor that they helped find success, right? You have to be able to draw more overlap between the case study and your current business and your current problems than less, right? So there's that. And I think one of the hardest things to do, and Matt, I would really love your opinion on this. The hardest things to do is to build traction for a brand that doesn't have it. So for a net new startup direct to consumer brand, a lot of marketing and advertising agencies will take anyone's money. But the really hard thing to do is to get traction from nothing, right? And so when you're in that scenario, it is almost even more crucial that you do what I just said and say, show me a case study where you took a brand with zero audience, zero exposure, zero celebrity influence. What did that look like to build them traction? And then what did traction look like, right? Was it that you got them to 10,000 a month? You got them to 1 million a year? What did that look like? And what was the timeline behind it? And obviously, what was the investment involved?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So on the case study thing, it should be really tailored towards what it is they're trying to sell you, right? Just like you said, if they come in with some sort of generic boilerplate case studies, then that's a red flag right away. They should have taken the time to put in some effort to create something or show some work that was super relevant to what you're doing. And I think that agencies that do it right are the ones that focus on a niche within whatever it is you're doing. So if you are a CPG brand, cool, you should find a CPG agency. Or if you're an apparel brand, find one that has tons of apparel clients. And then the other thing with case studies too is it should really focus on, or it should show some tangible outcomes that how they contributed to overall business growth. And so if they are not showing how they're optimizing for your scorecard and what your goals are as far as scaling the business, whether that's from 0 to a million or 5 to 10 million or whatever, then that's worth digging into also, and I think that a lot of times you see stuff where it's like, oh yeah, we got this great ROAS, or we got all these impressions and whatever else. And that stuff's great, but that's really just more themselves patting themselves on the back a bit. And so that's one thing I think to look for is yeah, did they do the time, do the work to create some kind of proof or a case study that is applicable to your business? And then your next question about going from 0 and trying to get it off the ground, right? Like it's hard to do. And I think we just brought on a brand that is doing this exact same thing. It's a bit unfair for them because they have a major celebrity behind it. And so that obviously is going to help a lot. But I'd say that, especially in the beginning, like it's really, you got to focus on the things that make you special, right? Like what is it about the brand that is going to differentiate? Like who are you for? Why is your product special? What is it that's going to make you famous? Really nail all that down. Like who's your target customers, all that stuff, and then start building a brand. Like the first thing you should be doing is really like focus on building a brand, and then think about how you can amplify that in the right ways. And as you scale, I think you're going to find that there's going to be some channels that work better than others, or some creatives that work better than others, and that's where you really should start to lean in a little bit more. And then at some point, eventually, I actually liked what Jacques from Raindrop said on one of your episodes. He was saying about this, there was this idea where brands that go too long on one channel that works, they sort of become like beholden to that channel. And if that has a bit, like if Meta goes down one day or something, like the business tanks, right? So there is a stage where you're going to have to start thinking about like diversity and where you want to invest your next dollar in order to start reaching new customers. And so it's a good problem to have, I think. But as you're scaling, really just trying to keep a pulse on some of those signals that you're seeing and where some of these new customers are coming from, and just carving out a tiny part of the budget to place some strategic bets, right? Like think about, like maybe YouTube will work for us, or maybe we should talk to some creators on TikTok, etc. So yeah, long-winded answer, but I think start with brand, really double down on creative, have great product.
What is the next big idea that could change your business? A pricing change? A new bundling strategy? Adding subscriptions? Tweaking your shipping offer? Most brands make these decisions based on gut feel. They roll out the change, hope for the best, and have no real idea if it helped or hurt their business. Intelligems fixes that. It is an AI-powered testing platform that brings CRO-level clarity to the decisions that actually move the needle. Not just button colors and headlines, but the big stuff. Pricing, offers, shipping, new apps, even major site changes. Brands like Ridge, Jones Road, and True Classics are using Intelligems to test their most important decisions and see exactly how each one of those impacts profit before they commit. Momofuku used it to test promotional offers ahead of Black Friday and found the version that increased profit by about 28%. Mott & Bow ran structured pricing tests that drove roughly 30% more incremental profit. We use it at Electric Eye with almost every client we work with. And now Intelligems has a free AI-powered audit that gives you 3 specific ideas that you can test on your store today. No commitment, no credit card, just 3 opportunities worth exploring. Head to intelligems.io/audit and get your free audit in just a few minutes. That's intelligems.io/audit, intelligems.io/audit. Now, so the original name for this episode, which may or may not stay, but I want to mention it now to follow into the next question, was like how to buy growth without getting burned, right? And so we are putting ourselves in the shoes of, in quote, the buyer from a brand side, right? And I think that it probably we need to take a step back from the search phase to, I hate RFPs, but we're going to use them in a generic sense here of like, this is the thing we need help with. It's not necessarily an RFP, but we're just going to use that term. Just side. I'm just going to take a step to the side here. Don't send out RFPs. They're stupid. Have conversations with smart people and do their process the way that they want to do it. But, if for a general sense here, an RFP is just like, hey, we need help with this thing. Can you help us out with this thing? Before we get there, I think that mistakes are made before it even gets written on paper about what the brief or like what the engagement looks like. So what are some of those mistakes that brands are making?
Oh, yeah. Good one. I think generally when it comes to RFPs, especially, like they're just not an effective way to hire an agency, right? Like the mistake is like not having the conversation first and then talking realistically about where the business is at and where you're trying to go.
I'm seeing on my side, man, we're getting Claudes talking to Claudes. And there's no real strategy or learning or, outcomes being discussed. It's just marketing hogwash.
Yeah. It's a bit concerning because everyone's trying to over optimize when it comes to this. And I think having a messy conversation or just a realistic conversation that's going to be more telling, I think, than a response to an RFP that is just generated by AI and has a couple tweaks to it. And so, I think for us, and I think smart agencies, we just generally don't respond to them unless we have a really, unless we have a contact internally who like personally referred up to us and we have a relationship already with them and some in to be able to have that type of conversation, then maybe we will. But I think we're more interested in just having an honest conversation and trying to help illustrate what that bridge to success sort of looks like. And again, like using that as like the sample of what it's like to work with us and bringing all the people in the room that would actually be working on the account, not like a bunch of senior people who talk a big game and have all these great ideas, but then you never see them once you sign up with the agency.
You have prepped all year and all that hard work is paying off. Your store is converting, the ads are working, and this is shaping up to be your best holiday season. But your 3PL can't keep up. Orders are backing up. Customers are asking where their stuff is. The reviews are starting to turn. All that hard work, all that momentum undone by a fulfillment partner that can't scale with you. This is a nightmare scenario, and it happens to brands every holiday season. Enter eFulfillment Service. eFulfillment Service is the 3PL that scales with you. They are family-owned, they've been in business for over 25 years, and they're built specifically for growing direct-to-consumer brands. There are no setup fees, no minimums, and no long-term contracts. You only pay for what you use. If you're scared your 3PL can't keep up this holiday season, now is the time to reach out to eFulfillment Service. Go to eFulfillmentService.com/honest and get up to 8 weeks of account fees completely waived. That's EFULFILLMENTSERVICE.com/HONEST, eFulfillmentService.com/honest. Yeah, we actually charge to respond to RFPs, and that usually changes the conversation a lot. But what I've been doing a lot lately as I go, this is clearly written by AI. Would you like to have us help you rewrite this and get you the result you want? And then we'll give you a bid, and then you can go bid that thing out too, right? So that's been my approach. No one has bid on it yet, but it's like, this is the nicest I can be in this scenario.
Yeah. I was going to ask if that's worked so far because I would steal that idea, but it's a good way to respond.
Hey, we get paid, just to kind of be honest on the radio here, is like getting paid to get senior leadership on the next call is not uncommon. And we do charge for, like, we call it our Shopify diagnostic. We have friends out there that call it a workshop. It's basically just a strategy session at the end of the day. You're going to get such a better ROI from those micro commitments than you are going to be, pig-headed. And I'm not spending money with anyone. Everyone else is doing this for free. But you got to really think about the free information you're getting is not good.
Yeah. It's output from AI mostly, right? It's a lot of shortcuts. And I think, that's a smart way to take approach to take for sure.
I do think though, it is worth talking to Claude when you're in the RFP phase, like as a brand, but not to build an RFP. It's like, this is what these are the shortcomings. These are the gaps that we have. This is the strengths of our team. This is the weaknesses of our team. Have them really build out, like, all right, this is what you need to hire for. It's not, you don't need a meta agency. You actually need an agency that can also source you influencers, and then those influencers are going to give you creative. It's like, you guys have all of these gaps. So if you just hire a meta agency, you're going to have the same problem you had 6 months ago, which is you didn't have enough creative to build that flywheel. And then they can't do their job, but you aren't seeing the ROI because they can't do their job because they are bottlenecked by your creative output, right? So being honest with yourself about what it is your brand can bring to the table to make the partnership better. I don't think a lot of people have enough honest conversations with themselves about that. So just talk to AI about it.
So true, dude. I think, it's certainly, we use it a lot, right? Like, our agency runs on AI now. And so, but you can't outsource your thinking too much, because then everything just starts sounding the same. Everyone starts talking the same. It's interesting because, I post on LinkedIn a lot, and I've made a point to it, which is kind of sad, but like, you almost have to write in a way now that's a little bit more messy and like unconventional in order to not get called out for using AI. And I'm guilty. I used to use it all the time to like help ideate and come up with concepts of content and stuff like that. But I've since moved away from that now. And I think as an agency, we moved away from it too, because everybody can sort of sniff it out. And I think that it's almost become a point of differentiation to show your human thinking and leverage it for more of the operational stuff that's maybe taking time away from being able to do that.
Absolutely. And Matt, I knew this was going to happen. We were going to have too much fun on this. So now I'm going to narrow in and focus. We've got 3 questions left.
Okay.
Let's see how quickly we can actually get through them.
Yeah.
Which I don't really care. We can have a lot of fun with this. All right. We talked a lot about like the red flags and what not to do, but my brand, we've talked to quite a few folks. There are 3 agencies that I really like. What are some good signs? What are some of those differentiators? What are some of those, opposite of red flags, the green flags that we should be looking for to help, in that decision-making process of like, this would be what you want to see?
Yeah, that's a good one. So I think that, just like you said, they should be asking for access to accounts. They should be wanting to get their hands dirty with looking at historical data before really touching anything, and asking about what your business objectives are, what's going on with the brand, what else you have going on. I think a good plan comes grounded in your numbers and not like a templated playbook. And so, and then getting in touch with the right point of contact. Like, we always want to talk to the CFO. We want to know sort of what's in his head her head as far as what their objectives are and what the numbers look like. And so I think like a red flag on that though is more that they don't, right? And they're just like, they come in and let's say you move forward and they want to change everything week 1. No one's really asking about overall business objectives or goals. And then obviously, like we said, like the person who pitched you isn't around anymore, right? Or like, and then you're sort of now working with this new person. So that's a big one, right? And I've totally experienced that. I've had that happen. It was like a young marketing manager at Quiksilver, and we're getting pitched by a big agency, and next thing you know, we're in go mode, and it's like, okay, who are you? You're not the person I talked to originally. So yeah, that's a big one.
Hey everybody, just a quick reminder, please like this video and subscribe if you haven't. We're releasing interviews like this every week, so don't miss out. Now back to the interview. Absolutely. Now, let's say we've made our choice out of those 3. One of them really stood out. We signed. What does the first 90 days look like at a good agency? And maybe also, what does it look like at a bad agency?
Yeah. Good one would be that they have a really dialed in onboarding process. I think that is a really good telling sign. And you should ask about it as you're talking to them and throughout that sales process. And they have a dedicated person or a team of people who handle onboarding. They make it super smooth. They look to get up and running quickly and become effective. They're collaborative with your outgoing agency or whoever it was that was managing everything previously. Ask a lot of questions or setting up meetings with them. they're really getting their hands dirty when it comes to the creative and trying to understand what's worked and what hasn't, talking to the creative director or whoever's in charge of the overall creative strategy on the brand side. And then, as far as the channels go and the data and everything like that, just getting everything hooked up quickly so they can start to build out their forecasts and understand sort of what the media plan is, and working collaboratively with your team. So that's what good looks like. And I think that in my experience in the past, the smoother the onboarding has gone, and it felt really dialed, generally that turned out to be a great relationship over a long period of time. And then obviously on the opposite side, if things kind of feel hectic and you're coming in and it's a bit disheveled, then that might be a red flag right away.
Yeah. It's pretty obvious in that conversation that everything that he said was good. If they're not doing any of that, that is bad. But right. Let's talk about. I kind of mentioned this before, but I don't know if it's the same thing that you wanted to say. But like, when should a brand just not hire an agency?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I think it's in the very beginning, you might not need an agency, right? Especially if you're just trying to figure it out and you are looking for product market fit, you're pressure testing if there's who your customer is and trying to find them. I think that's you might not need that. You might just need like a contractor or a freelancer or somebody who can kind of do a lot of things for you and help you get it off the ground. That was one of the most fun things I did before I started the agency. And actually that turned into what is now Sunnyside. I was doing consulting for small startup brands and really helping them figure things out and get everything off the ground. And in one case, there's a brand, it's a brand called Beak, and they were, it's this women's sandal brand, and they were just getting off the ground and had really had no clue on like how to stand up e-com and get everything going from a digital marketing standpoint. So I was actually working at Pacsun at the time, and I was kind of moonlighting on nights and weekends trying to help them get off the ground. And that I look back at that and I'm pretty fond of that experience because it was. Number one, it was fun for me because I was learning things that I had never done before, and I was honest with them. And I said, "Hey, I haven't done this, but I'm happy to figure it out." And that was from everything from like setting up their Meta Ads account at the time, or running Google Ads, or whatever, setting up a product page for them. So someone like that can be super helpful, especially in the beginning. And then the fun thing about them is that they're a client today. Like they've grown from, they were doing 6 figures early on when I first started with them, low 6 figures, and now they're well into 9 figures. And so that's been a fun journey to sort of be a part of over a long period of time. But I suggest that to people all the time, for founders who are really trying to get it going, is find someone who's got a hunger in it and they have some experience with what you're trying to do across a bunch of different channels and can really help you kind of get off the ground. That might be a much better option than bringing in an agency where, especially early on, it feels expensive and there's a lot of expectation and you're kind of wanting results quickly. So that's what I would suggest. Another one though is like, or let's say the brand is more established and you sort of see some warning signs internally, right? For example, like maybe certain teams aren't talking to each other, or if there's the problem that they're trying to solve is actually internal, like say, for example, the buying and planning folks are not talking to marketing, and there's disconnect between what was actually bought in the line versus what's being marketed and built around as far as like the brand strategy goes. Like that's an org fix and not really like a media or agency fix. And so that's some stuff to sort of try to suss out and fix before you bring in an agency to look at how you're going to grow things, because you're going to run into issues, especially in that sort of scenario where it's going to impact performance and there's nothing the agency can do to fix that. So that's another one that we've run into in the past, but is a little bit less common. But I'd say that turn inward first, before you're trying to figure out what it is that you're trying to do from a growth standpoint or goal standpoint and what you need to solve.
When we were talking about doing this episode together, we had like a few different ideas, and I was like, inevitably it's going to get a little more inside baseball. But like one thing that we love to do when we're talking with potential clients is asking a question somewhere along the lines of like, what do we need to know about your business that's going to come up later and like throw a wrench in the works? It's like, oh, like you guys have a lawsuit going on, or, you know, the CFO is pregnant and she's going to be gone for, you know, an extended period of time. Like, you know, what's, you know, oh, this person's leaving the company, or like, you know what, we like all of the back of house is actually offshored. And, you know, there's like all there's so many weird specific situations that you got to directly ask. And then if you know about them up front, you can plan for them. But just keeping it in the dark, you know, as a buyer, you should be forthright with all the information, because at the end of the day, they want the engagement to be successful. You need the engagement to be successful. So like being completely transparent about the state of things is the only way to do so.
Yeah, that's a great one too. Yeah, I'm going to steal that and put it into our onboarding questionnaire.
Absolutely. Matt, I mentioned it earlier, but quickly run me through like what is Profit 360? And why is Sunnyside so cool? And if I think you guys sound awesome, where do I go to find out more?
Yeah, I appreciate it. So, you know, our unfair advantage is that myself and most of our team have brand side DNA. Like we come from brands, and the people that you talk to are the ones that work directly on the account. And so, a lot of us have real operator experience, and not, you know, necessarily just provide a bunch of agency jargon. And so I think that to me was important when standing up the agency and really building the team, and thinking about how we could get people in the working with brands that have actually been in your shoes. And so that's a big one for us. Profit 360, that's our operating system. That's how we run growth. It connects the business outcomes, which is for us profit and new customers, to the day-to-day work and the creative strategy, and how that comes to life across paid channels. And so we get our hands on the P&L and really build out our own forecast model and plan in directly, like I said, with the CFO, with the head of ecom, whoever it is. That becomes the sort of guardrails. We work directly with the product and marketing teams on alignment there. Really want to know what inventory we have, what's selling, what seasonality looks like. Then probably the biggest thing these days is the creative strategy, and how what we're talking about comes to life, and who we're showing that to, and what the framework is there. And the bottom rung is really just the channel execution and how we distribute and optimize everything. And so that becomes a big flywheel, and this repeatable sort of loop, and you know, across like tracking and forecasting, review, optimizing. And so everything gets diagnosed and mapped back to business guardrails rather than like channel metrics. So that's a big one for us. And we've really leaned heavily into that over the past couple of years, and that's become how we manage things now. And it's worked really well. We've had, like I said earlier, we've had some clients that have been around for 3, 4, 5, 6 years, and we've really enjoyed a high retention rate as a result, and seen a lot of growth with it. And yeah, so if anyone's interested, happy to chat. You can find me on LinkedIn, post on there pretty frequently. Our website's sunnysidecalifornia.com. We'll have a guide on there too. Like, so if you're interested in our philosophy and some high level ways you can grow your brand, it's sunnysidecalifornia.com/guide. So come check it out, grab it. It's free. And yeah, hope to hear from everybody that's interested.
Awesome, Matt. Thank you so much for coming on today and sharing all those amazing insights.
Yeah, Chase, I appreciate it. Thanks so much for having me, man.